Are you tired of struggling with hair growth and thinning strands? Release the magic in your locks and tresses with I Am Melanin Magic Hair Oils. A premium blend of all natural ingredients strengthens, restores, and revitalizes your hair for maximum health and growth. Don't let thinning hair
straightened hair
brand. Upgrade your hair care game today.
So are you.
I Am Melanin Magic Hair Oils. What you can tolerate and what you're willing to do in between the nodding period. Although I will say I find a lot less, y'all know I take long spiritual baths just about 4 or 5 days a week, sometimes more. I do the sauna thing. My hair used to always, I knew when I was doing that and I needed a retightening, my hair was going to really start to tangle. I experienced a lot less of that. I can't explain why, but many women who have knotted locks have said the same thing. You may find yourself needing to pull apart a few pieces here and there, but it's nothing like the tangling that would happen when I had my Sisterlocks. So anyway, so when I look at the link, my locks from down here and what they look like, I don't experience any real differences. You understand?
Welcome to Tunisia's Locks, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri, the channel where we get it all in. You can also learn more about the I Am Melanin Magic brand. Thank you for stopping by.
Our magical hair growth serum did this after just 8 short weeks, 5 times per week. Denisha began with the premium oil blend in April, and by June, she had already regrown hair. Angelica addressed thinning with the magical hair growth serum and continues to use the products to improve thinning in areas where it's been hard to regrow hair. Meet Kina. Her hair loss was spread over several areas. She went ham with the magical hair growth serum, and to the shock of her loctician, her hair began to rebound fast. She is delighted, and so am I.
I am Melanin Magic, and so are you.
Greetings. Welcome to Tunisia's Locks, Beauty Tips, and Potpourri, also known as the I Am Melanin Magic brand. And by the way, so that I don't forget, we are having a 30% off Mother's Day sale, which will run for an entire week. So starting when this video posts up until this same time next week, which will be Thursday at midnight, you can get 30% off. And the coupon code will be your mother's locks. I'm just coming up with that right now. Your, Y-O-U-R, M-O-T-H-E-R-S, L-O-C-S, your mother's locks. Welcome. I am really excited about this particular video. I'm excited about all the videos I do. But this particular video, I'm going to be sharing with you my 1-year knotted locks journey. Can you believe I've been at this a year and about a week or two now? I cannot believe an entire year has gone by with me and my knotted locks, and I'm still here. I'm still here to show and to tell. It has been a very interesting journey, and that's what I want to talk with you all about today, where I am in my journey and what I've learned in my journey and what I think the future next year or two is going to bring to me with these knotted locks, okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Now, disclaimer! I want to say this. I don't want to say it again, and you'll hear me say it again and again. And I've said it in all my previous long videos, and that is, it's really up to you to make the decision that resonates with you best. I am here to support you in your journey, whether you have Microlocks, Sisterlocks, some other kind of small lock, knotted locks, if you decide that that's the path you want to go down. And for many of you who contact me and reach out to me, even traditional locks, I am here to share not only my experience of 13 years with Sisterlocks, my experience with 1 year of knotted locks, the comparing and the contrasting, and my over 40 years of experience with hair from the time I was 5 up through when I used to work in my aunt's shop in Philadelphia, Lola's Looking Glass. up until what I do currently with hair. Hair is in my DNA. I love hair. I'm also here to share with you the blends and the kinds of hair supplementary treatments that can help you to grow hair, to keep your hair strong. If you're doing things like dyeing your hair, if you're doing things like stressing your hair out, if you're doing things like having an experience where maybe your hair is thinning and you're losing hair, I'm here to also direct you to the I Am Melanin Magic page so that you can look for a product that may help you in your journey. With all of those things, most importantly, I'm here to keep you engaged with what can assist you in this journey as you make the decisions and you pivot as necessary to get the most from whatever system it is that you are invested in as it relates to your hair. Currently, as you all know, I've been knotted for a little bit over a year. I transitioned around this time last year. I had sound reasons for transitioning that had to do with many of the anecdotal and testimonial materials that I was privy to by talking with you all, by working with you all, by consulting with you all, my own personal experiences and the direction that I saw things going in with my own hair. I felt the need to pivot. The other thing I want to say before I really dig into the content is that there are a lot of things that I did to keep my Sisterlocks as healthy as I possibly could. Those things were not always easy, they were not always convenient, and they were not something that I would have thought that I was going to have to do, nor were they things that I desired to have to do on a regular basis or to even have to think about, but I did them anyway because I knew that they were helping me to keep my hair on my head. I knew what the alternative would be if I did not. These are the kinds of things that you will hear me talk about on this channel going all the way back to 5 years. These are the kinds of things that I think are important. This is the kind of material that when you hear me talk about it now, you'll know it's nothing new. I've been talking about the same thing for quite some time, and I will continue to raise awareness around these styles that we tend to naively assume will bring us a ton of hair abundance without any work, but also will bring us a ton of hair abundance over the long term without having a particular set of consequences, all right, or things that we need to be mindful of. That is what I feel is what I'm supposed to be doing at this particular time in my purpose, and that is what I'm dedicated to. For those of you who are interested in getting a hair appraisal, if you're having trouble, even if you are not, and you're new to the journey and you have questions and you want to get your head wrapped around the things that you need to know as you move through this journey, regardless of whatever lock that you have, make sure you go to the I Am Melanin Magic website and sign up for a hair appraisal. Now, only during this week, during the Mother's Day sale, does everything on the site apply to that 30% off. I typically do not give percentages off of the kit or the consults and appraisals because there's too much involved in that. There's not only a PowerPoint, there's your own mini ebook, there's some serums, there's the actual consult and the review of your hair history and the upload and discussion of the photos that you submit. There are many other things that go on during that hour that are extremely undervalued. But that particular coupon, which I said is your mother's locks, will apply to everything on the site. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about it now. When I first got the knotted locks, the biggest surprise to me was the fact that I was going to have to take on the responsibility of doing it myself. You all know I have been doing my own Sisterlocks for quite some time, the front part of my hair for various reasons. I have been taking that on anyway. I had also had the unfortunate or inconvenient opportunity, although it was empowering, to do my own retightenings a couple of 3 times. So I was very much aware of what it took, and I knew enough to know it wasn't something I wanted to be doing. I didn't get this style so that I could be retightening almost 600 locks whatever the number of intervals or months or weeks that it was going to be. So it was a surprise to me to be taking this on, but I took it on because of the necessity of having to consider the direction I was going to go in with my locks, and if I was going to begin dealing with more issues as it related to thinning, all right, and concerns that I was having about the retightening, concerns that I was having about a whole litany of things that to me were projecting a situation that was going to be undesirable. So having to think about doing my own was like, oh my gosh. But because I know I'm not a do-it-yourselfer. I wasn't a do-it-yourselfer. Now I am a do-it-yourselfer, and I'm a proud do-it-yourselfer. Although I've always had my hands in my hair since the time I was 5, my mother stopped doing my hair. I was that kid who would get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, do my hair, get in the shower. I don't know how I was up, and I guess they were asleep, and go back to bed. Put my school clothes on and go back to bed. I was that gung-ho type of kid, but I loved working on my hair. I did my Jerry curl. I did all kinds of stuff growing up, but I didn't want to do 600, almost 600 locks, okay? But the necessity to make a decision at a pivotal time, and timing is everything, swayed me. So when I hung up the phone the first time I talked with Miss Blakes, I had resigned myself to the notion that I was going to have to do them myself. But that to me was less of an inconvenience than losing the hair, or beginning to lose more hair, or beginning to have signs of concern. That to me was less of something to dwell on than the other reality, which was for sure approaching. Like a trailer tractor. Okay, like in that it's going to destroy everything in its wake, slowly albeit. So when I realized that my relocking sessions could take place in less than 2 hours, oh, when I tell you how pleasantly surprised I was and how it was a source of celebration, let me tell you. Because in reality, you're not having to worry about a pattern. Because in reality, you're not having to, pin your hair up and make sure you're not grabbing the wrong thing and all of this other stuff. It only takes a second to do a knot. It takes less than 10 seconds. So you can easily do 6 knots in a minute without even thinking about it. So let's take this lock, for example. This is the length of this lock. And this is something I'll say before I forget. And this depends on the texture of your hair, the wave pattern. I have 4 different wave patterns in my head. They lock different ways. So I'm learning more intimately about my locks. But this happens to be one lock that hasn't shrunk as much. I do have locks that shrink with the knots and they become a little more spongy. So I lose a little bit of length. Okay, so while I'm gaining in strength and I'm gaining in core, in some of my locks, I'm losing a little bit of length depending upon where it is and how cushy and how bouncy the locks are. I know that that'll straighten out as time goes on as the locks settle. And it takes different amounts of time for locks to settle. But let's take a look at this lock right here. If you look at the length of this lock, I don't know how much you can see it. My locks have been bumpy since the beginning. Okay, they are always bumpy. Even with my Sisterlocks. This is about where, let me see where. This is about the first knot right here. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. I got 10 knots here during that year on this particular lock. Some locks have less, some locks have more. Because you're knotting based on where your hair needs to be knotted. You're also knotting based on your own preference. If you're someone that wants to knot every 8 weeks, knot every 8 weeks. If you're someone that wants to knot every 16 weeks, knot every 16 weeks. If you want to knot every 6 months, you can knot every 6 months. I think in the support group a little over a week ago, Ms. Blakes talked about someone knotting at 9 months. So when you knot is on you, depending upon what it is that's going on with your hair, what your hair story is, what you can tolerate, and what you're willing to do in between the knotting period. Although I will say I find a lot less. Y'all know I take long spiritual baths, just about 4 or 5 days a week, sometimes more. I do the sauna thing. My hair used to always, I knew when I was doing that and I needed a retightening, my hair was going to really start to kind of tangle. I experience a lot less of that. I can't explain why, but many women who have knotted locks have said the same thing. You may find yourself needing to pull apart a few pieces here and there, but it's nothing like the tangling that would happen when I had my Sisterlocks. So anyway, so when I look at my locks from down here and what they look like, I don't experience any real differences. You understand what I'm saying? Now, this is still early. I imagine in a year, this will also shift some because the hair still is going to lock. I still have new hair coming in and my hair grows outside of the lock and it's still going to circle around the locks. Now, currently right here, I have about 1/4 of an inch from my scalp, which is a comfortable amount of space. Although moving forward, I want to begin to comfortably leave a little bit more. I am still experiencing a lot of teachable moments, and I'm still always looking critically at the knotted lock process and making refinements. So when we talk about overall my journey, I'm happy that I transitioned to knotted locks. I'm glad that those of you who resonate with it decided to transition after you heard me talk about it. I don't want anybody transitioning because I transitioned. You need to be able to stand on your own, because the experience that you have with knotted locks is going to be your own experience. And I can tell you, you do need to be a certain type of person to be able to embrace knotted locks. I talked about the mindset. The mindset I used to talk about a lot throughout 2023 is super, super important. But beyond the mindset, it requires a certain level of openness to your intuitive capacity. It requires some analytics, and it requires quite frankly, quite a bit of creative problem solving or creative ability to think outside of the box when you run into something that ordinarily you would never have to think about if you had Sisterlocks. Is it all worth it? Heck yeah. And I'm going to say this so that I also don't omit this. Last Sunday, on my way back from a trip to a race in Chattanooga, I had the most enlightening moment, okay? I had the most enlightening moment. I found for me a surefire way, 100%, and it has worked with every lock that I have retightened since, and I think I have done all relocked since. I believe I've done all except maybe like 5, 6, 7, 8 locks, which are right at the back, which were in those little areas that have always been a tad bit problematic to reach, a tad bit problematic for other areas, so I treat them a little bit differently. I finally found what I feel will save me the frustration or the delay or the impatience with trying to shift from something that I had to do a certain way. If I was retightening, there were no questions around it. I had a reverse 4 pattern, so I went this way, and I'd hit the 4 points, and all I had to do was make sure I didn't combine anything, had to make sure I was in the mirror, make sure I was using the tool, make sure that I wasn't marrying and tangling up anything, and make sure that I didn't tighten it too tight. I still have to worry about not tightening the knot too tight. That's something I have to work myself out of, because with the Sisterlocks, it was part of the programming, okay? So making sure that I am guiding the knot, making sure that I am not putting in an additional knot when one is not needed is very, very critical. Making sure that nothing is pulling on my scalp, so that I, in fact, adhere and align to what the whole knotted locks process and methodology supports, which is freedom for your follicles. Your follicles need to be able to feel free, and they need to be stress-free, because the strand needs to be able to move. Okay, and if you do it too tight, the same as with the Sisterlock, it's not going to move. and it's going to be too tight on your scalp. And so the very thing that you are wanting to avoid is the thing that you still need to be aware of when you're doing your knotted locks. And it's going to be different for every lock. So you become intimately aware of your knots. But I found the way to place my knots almost just perfectly and not to have any errors, which took me this length of time to kind of get a sense of with my hair. Now remember, I was the person that took over 2 hours to train for knotted locks. I had trouble with it in the beginning. It took me a while. I'm very analytical. I need to understand things. I need, for me, what works best is a process that's going to work when I execute it every single time. I got to have a strategy once I understand what my goal is. And I feel like I finally found that. And because of that, some of the initial learning curve things that I was dealing with, I don't deal with anymore. I don't expect to deal with them anymore because I know exactly what's going on. I know how to back out of a problem. I understand better if I knot 2 knots on top of each other and I run into difficulty, how to slowly back out of that. More importantly, I understand how to avoid that from the very beginning. I understand if I want to place 1 knot versus placing 2 or more knots, what I need to do to make sure that I don't encounter difficulties or anything to me that would be less than what I would like to see my hair do when it wants to do something else. Probably the most important lesson that I have learned, though, overall, is that my hair can teach me. And that requires that I listen. So if I don't listen, then that's when I'm going to have mistakes. That's when I'm going to have hiccups. If my hair is telling me we don't need another knot and I want to put another knot in because there's plenty of space, but my hair is saying we don't need another knot, and I go to put the knot in anyway, inevitably I'm going to have difficulty. And if I'm trying to force it out, instead of using other methods like wait time, like perhaps wetting, perhaps doing other things that can help me loosen it up, and I'm tugging and I'm tugging and I'm tugging rather than just leaving it alone and letting it do what it's going to do, or giving it the time that it needs to sort of puff up and loosen on its own, I'm going to have a problem. So when I say it's a learning curve, I feel like it's a learning curve, and it's something that you can't be afraid to experience, meaning I like, and I have always liked my locks to look a certain way. When I first started the channel, I always had, and I think I was like 5 or 6 years into my journey. No, I had to be about 8, maybe between 6 and 8 years in my journey. I was still, because it took my hair a long time to compress and drop, I was still, taking out certain parts, going back in, getting the bulginess out, rolling the locks. I had bumpy locks, okay? That's what my hair does, period. I accept that is what my hair does. But at the time, I wanted the perfection. So my hands were always in my hair. I was always looking at each lock and comparing one lock to the other lock to the other lock to the other lock. I don't do that anymore because I realize I have all these different grades of hair or different curl patterns in my hair, and they're going to dictate how my hair takes the knot. The same way they wanted to dictate how my hair took the interlocking, and to force it to do something that it didn't really want to do, ultimately, long term, was actually going to be to my hair's demise. And if it's to my hair's demise, then it's to my demise, right? So it has been a beautiful journey. When I hit that major breakthrough this past weekend, I couldn't believe it took me a whole year, but I was darn glad, because now I know I'm not going to have to deal with hiccups. I just know that I won't. I know what to do and when to do it and how to know if I'm on the right track with placing the knot. And I can actually determine with almost 100% accuracy where that knot is going to land. So now I can focus on extending my knowledge around other things like fixing, or what a fix might look like on a particular knot, how to do, or a particular lock, how to do something else to make a shift. If I need to strengthen the integrity of a knot, a lock, how to actually go in and do that. I'm really experiencing a lot The beautiful thing about knotted locks is it really is your individual journey. You have to be willing to put your hands in your hair. You have to be willing to roll your sleeves up. You understand what I'm saying? What that means is you are the guru for your hair. There's not someone that is a go-to person that you can delegate that to. You don't have a loctician that you can rely on. You begin to know your own hair. So let's take a look at this particular lock right here. Here's another one. This is one that I feel I've lost some length with, although you all know I've paid the price from the dyeing. My hair typically I would say should be about 6 inches longer than it actually is. I continually lose my ends when I dye, and I continue to dye because I like the color. As long as my roots and things stay healthy, I'm okay. But so these are bumpy. This is the type of bumpiness I'm talking about with my little Sisterlocks, but I don't care about that because that's been the story always. Okay, my locks have always been imperfect, but they're perfect. They're really perfect. What am I really looking for, right? And so this is the knotted locks portion. And I know hopefully y'all can see that. Okay, but in looking at that, let me see where we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now this is one that has 9. Okay, now these I imagine will still continue to fill in, but you cannot, from glance you cannot see. Okay, that's for people who are concerned about how they're going to look. And I get that a lot. Like, of course, we're concerned about how they're going to look. And I get that. But that wasn't the reason why I switched. I didn't switch because I was concerned about how they were going to look. I switched because I was concerned about how my hair was going to fare, which to me overwhelmingly trumps how they're going to look, because I made a decision and I was moving into a space, even with my Sisterlocks, where I cared more about the health and the situation with the retightenings, and second to the way they look. Well, we pushed that down to number 3. Second to my journey and what was important to me after health was, how long is it really going to take me to do these retightenings or these relockings? Like, because this is not something I want to have to think about. Well, now we're saying I could do the whole head in 2 hours, but if I don't want to do it in 2 hours, I can do 10 minutes here, 30 minutes there, 3-4 minutes here. I can do it any way I want. I may decide to not do an entire section for an additional 4 weeks. For whatever the reasons may be for my hair. I may say, okay, these few locks, they need a break. So we're going to add another 4 or 5 weeks. I'm not even going to touch these for another 4 or 5 weeks, even though it may be difficult for me not to touch them because I find my hands always in my hair. But the point is that I'm happy with where I am in this journey. I'm glad I made the decision to go in a different direction. I'm going to still be looking at this journey, critiquing my journey, accepting my journey, and making different, I guess you could say, giving my hair a chance to reveal what it wants to do with these knotted locks. I look at knotted locks as my solution. I look at knotted locks as the solution to the great concerns that I was having. It made sense to me from an analytical standpoint, from a soulful place. It made a lot of sense for me. I will continue to look at my hair, to analyze my hair, to relate what I am doing and my frequency of relocking and the way that I'm locking. Because the other thing that I have realized, this brings me to it. I feel for a great part of the earlier part of my journey, I was knotting too tightly. And so I'm loosening my knots now. And I think that is going to make a difference. I think it'll make a difference in the way the knot forms on my particular type of hair. I think it will make a difference on the way the knot lays and the degree to which it merges and entangles with everything around it, if that is what I'm looking for. And that happens to be what I'm looking for at this time moving forward based on some of the things that I know. So I'm still critiquing my journey. I'm still critiquing my my technique. I'm learning my hair. I'm listening to my hair. I think some of you asked me, do I wet my hair every day? No, but I'm spraying it. I don't wet it as in the shower every day. I do spray my hair with the, this is the Ronnie's Refresh Mist, and this is really good. You all, I wasn't doing this on any kind of regular basis. This is, you guys, is on the site is out, but it is synergistic blend of floral water and essential oils, and it smells delicious, and you can get your hair as damp as you want to with this. You all know I use my oils on the regular. I use my oils about 3 times a week. I've gotten back on that a little bit more. I put the Fearless follicles in particular areas. I don't use that all over, but I do use the premium blend in the blue spray bottle on a regular basis. So I do wet and oil my hair. I'll do that when I'm actually knotting. Most of the time, my hair is performing in a way that I'm satisfied with. This style is, or this way of locking is very easy for me. It's very carefree. I don't have to worry about my hair. When I abide by what is the methodology, and when I abide by what I know my hair wants, and I don't fixate on what my mind might be telling me. In other words, when I do what I know is right for my hair based on what I learned in the training and based on what I learned from my hair, is smooth sailing, which is to be patient and to wait. Your hair will let you know when it's ready to knot. Your hair will let you know how many knots it can take. You, based on the outcome of what one knot will do, will know whether or not you want a second or a third knot, or if you just need to sit with one knot. Each person's journey is going to be different, I feel. I think it has a lot to do with the way you actually work with your hair, and take feedback from your hair. I think it has a lot to do with your ability to be creative. This is the kind of this is the kind of locked hairstyle whereby getting frustrated and trying to perfect something and trying to force something and offering resistance will not be your friend. It will not be your friend. So if you're someone that's OCD like me, that's something that used to be like me. I'm not as much like that the way I used to be. But if you tend to be compulsive about certain things, or you want perfection when it comes to certain things, or you like uniformity, whatever the fixation is you have in your head about the structure of it, if you tend to be someone like that, then that's going to be something that's going to have to change, because you're going to have to learn patience. You're going to have to learn that the perfection is in the imperfection, and you're going to have to make peace with what your hair does. And if you still are OCD, then you'll be that type of person trying to find a way around this or find a way around that. Or when you get a knot here, how can you get rid of that knot? How can you smooth that knot out? Can you roll it out? Can you do other things to get it out? Can you work backwards? Can you slide it out? All these different things. All right, so there's a lot to learn, but I love the journey. It was a good decision for me. It may be something that you want to consider. It may not be something that you want to consider. You may not be ready for it at this point. You may decide that you are doing fine with your Sisterlocks. You want to keep them. You want to keep them healthy. By all means, that's what you should do. I plan to continue to support this channel and talk about the same things that I've been talking about over the last few years to try to help you along that journey, because I do believe that it is a journey that has a lot of at-risk practices, just like anything that you may be doing with your hair, until you figure out what's going to work for you long term. And because of that, there's certain things that you really need to be aware of, and a lot of these things are not being talked about by anyone, and there's just an inexhaustible list of different things that you need to be doing on a regular basis to protect your hair. The ebook is a little bit behind schedule. It should be here no later than the end of May. The goal is by the end of the 3rd week of May. I am getting it almost to a point to where I'm ready to turn it over. I'm just, that OCD. I'm trying to go through and trying to make some corrections and make sure it is as comprehensive as I want it to be. It will have what I call the 5 pillars, which are the 5 pillars to hair loss. It will have what I call my proprietary designate process for hair restoration. It will have everything that you need to know about what to look for, what to do, how to avoid, how to be preventive, what your locticians should be doing, what your own responsibilities are. It will be very comprehensive, and I'm sure to offer an initial coupon in the purchase or early sale purchase price for those of you who keep up with the channel. So keep up with the channel, because I'll put it in a video. I will also put it in a short, and I will also put it in the community tab. And I may offer that introductory price for about the first 2, 3, or 4 weeks of releasing the ebook. It will have pictures in it. It will have testimonials, anecdotal records from many of you who contribute. I want to say thank you to all of you. I want to wish you the absolute best, whether you have Microlocks, Sisterlocks, knotted locks, or any other type of knot. Just know that you do have options. Know that you should not sit around and deal with practices that are going to result in you picking your hair up off the floor, or it falling out of somebody else's pocket, or having to deal with locks that have been married without your intentions, or have been married intentionally without your knowledge, having to deal with painful retightenings and people who really do not have the formative thinking skills and or lack the basics in training or anything else that can help you to solve the problems that you are no doubt going to run into at some point on this journey. Trust me when I tell you, you may not be seeing it now, but eventually you will see it. And once you see it, I can promise you it is already a systemic problem. The hair loss begins long before the physical manifestation of what you see in the way of thinning. So it is important to get on top of it as soon as possible, to get on top of it sooner rather than later. So for all of you who have stuck through this video, and I love this bottle because it just continues to spray. And when I tell you this stuff smells so good, oh, and it's cleansing and it's antibacterial. And for those of you who love sprays, moisturizing sprays, and then you want to do your oils, or you just want to refresh after a workout and you want to do a light cleanse of your hair, that is going to be perfect for you. And I plan to offer refills. I'm still trying to figure out a great way to offer refills so that once you purchase it with the bottle, the next time you get your order, you can just order the liquid to do the refill so that it's cheaper. So I'm working on that now. If you have any ideas, for those of you who watch this video to the end, let me know. If you know anything about refill bags or what could work that wouldn't create a messy, oogie mess, let me know. I love you guys. I want to thank you for all of your love, your care, your concern, your outreach, for your support here on the channel. Again, for those of you who have lots of questions about your journey, hit me up on IamMelaninMagic.com. Set up your hair appraisal. Again, the 30% off coupon, which currently applies to everything on the site, whether it's the Unsi kit, the hair appraisals, or anything else that's on the site, is Your Mother's Locks, with no apostrophe in mother's. Be mindful of the coupon codes for the I Am Melanin Magic website. Your Mother's Locks, LOCS. That's going to be the code that will get you your 30% off for the next 7 days as a celebration of all mothers, all maternal caregivers, and those who seek to nurture other people, whether you actually have carried a child in your womb or not. Many of you are nurturers in your own right within the fields that you're in. Many of you nurture all of the people in your lives with love, and you deserve to be acknowledged, just like me. I love you, and I will see you again soon. If you have not purchased my book, Manifesting Your Masterpiece, you can get that on Amazon. Bye.